Hey bookworms, welcome back to my channel and to another review, this time of a book that I've been wanting to read forever. And this is The Stand by the one and only Stephen King. Honestly, the huge length of this book put me off at first, even though I love big books and I cannot lie. But I finally read it, and also it didn't take as long as I thought to read it. So, The Stand is about a deadly contagious virus that kills most of the world's population. Yay! Hey, this book was written in 1990. Also, I'm glad I've read it now after the height of the corona pandemic is behind us. But a book is not actually about a virus. It's a rather epic tale about a group of survivors who are somehow immune to this virus and how they get together and try to build themselves, well, I was about to say a better future, but it's actually a future. And what guides these people are a series of shared dreams about an elderly woman who might lead them to a place where they can stay, survive, thrive, etc. But as they try to build their new lives following this prophet of a woman, there's another group of survivors led by a mysterious man who is known by many names. And my favorite of them is the Walking Dude. And he has much more nefarious intentions in mind, and it seems like the surviving and thriving can't really take place until a battle between the two groups decide who will live and who will perish. So where do I even begin with such an epic book? I'll start by saying that this book was so much better than I ever thought it would be. This is so good. Really, guys, if you don't have the patience to sit through an entire video, let me just say, if you're not intimidated by 1,500 pages of a book, go read The Stand. And I'll see you on my next video. Bye. Despite its length, it didn't take me all that long to read it just because it was so interesting. And I didn't just say it's epic. It has a huge cast of characters, and the entire first part of it is about the lives of the characters before the virus. By the way, they call the virus Captain Trips. Don't ask me who came up with that name. Then it tells of how the virus spread and how the different characters found each other. Honestly, I think my favorite part of this book is when the characters we read about little by little start meeting each other. Okay, I can ramble about this book for probably 2 hours, so let's get focused and let's talk a little bit about theme. As I was telling people that I was reading a Stephen King novel, the responses were pretty much the same. Is it scary? It's horror, isn't it? And the answer is no. The book does have some death and darkness in it, but it's definitely not horror. In fact, it made me realize that Stephen King, as an author, has far less horror scary books than what people imagine. And it also made me want to make an entire video about him because he obviously has many devoted fans, but he's also, in my opinion, somewhat misunderstood. Let me know in the comment section if you'll be interested in something like that. So, The Stand is not horror per se, but King, as always, is great with human horror, which I think is another thing that people ignore many times. You see, the novel does have a fantastic antagonist in the shape of this walking dude, who is pretty much the devil. But he's also not very interesting. He's just pure evil. As many other King books, the real scary evil comes from the regular humans. Honestly, the most intimidating character I found in this novel was that of an incel. And that's pretty much on purpose, I believe, to show that despite anything supernatural, it's the people who are capable of the most horrific things. Speaking of believe, I'm trying to make a segue. The novel also has a religious theme, which I find rather confusing, maybe. Not because it wasn't clearly written, but because I didn't expect it. As far as I know, Stephen King is not religious, and the only religious theme in his books that I can think of was in The Mist, which I haven't read, but I did see the movie, and hated it. God, I hated it and its infamous ending. And there, the religious person was the villain. Look, I'm an atheist, but I respect everyone unless they give me a reason not to. But there are concepts about religion that I just can't get by. I just don't get, and one of them is blind faith, which is kind of what's happening in this book and also portrayed as a positive thing. And this is why I found it confusing. And I wanted to film this video before I looked into the subject further and see other people's analysis and opinion about, because I just wanted to make sure that I'm telling you something that's strictly my opinion. So for this filming of this video, I haven't looked at all into it, but I probably will, because I found it interesting. But basically, you have a character in The Stand who represents God, as in she gets visions and she interprets God's will to the others. And by the way, I really dislike this character, and I wonder if any other readers of this book felt the same, so just let me know. Anyway, she basically tells some characters the equivalent of, no spoilers, but it will be the equivalent of go into the jungle wearing nothing but a bikini and have faith in God that he will protect you. If that's his will, of course. If not, you'll die anyway. And I just have a huge problem with that. First, I don't believe in fate or God or everything happens for a reason. And in a situation similar to this, I would want to personally make sure that I do everything in my power to help myself. So I will go into the jungle with proper clothes and food and a knife and probably some other supplies. Second, again, blind faith. Give me a reason to trust you and I will probably will. Just don't ask me to risk my life to be a sacrifice or a martyr or example to others for no reason. Okay, I'll stop talking about religion. This is definitely not the point of this YouTube video, and if I won't, I'll get into debate with myself and probably gonna anger all of the believers among you. So last thing I want to say has to do with writing style. Stephen King is definitely known for his specific writing style, and many people, including me, say that despite his great ideas, sometimes his writing style can, how can I put it, get on your nerves. This book, as I mentioned before, is a fascinating read. However, King has his signature babble, but luckily it only appears pretty much exclusively when it comes to things that are going on inside characters' heads, dreams, impressions, memories, etc. That's when he would go on, and that's when I'd just skim the page until he finishes. And I think that this is where I'll end this video, although there is so much more one can discuss and say about it. How it raises the question of is evil born or made? How well it depicts the atmosphere of despair at the aftermath, how we see this in-between period of people trying to continue to live their lives to the best of their abilities, even though their entire family is dead. How this book is not about a plague, nor is it really about good versus evil, but it's about people, our connection and need for each other in order to survive. So let me conclude by saying that this book is simply great. M-O-O-N, that spells great. And if you're a Stephen King fan and somehow didn't read it yet, what are you waiting for? And if you want to start reading Stephen King, or you're looking for a good, epic, post-apocalyptic kind of novel, then I heartily recommend The Stand. And that was my video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss any new video that I upload. Also, write down below if you're interested in seeing a video focusing on Stephen King, and if you have read The Stand, who is your favorite character? Mine is probably Kojak the dog, and Tom. I like Tom. And Nick, of course, and Franny, Glenn, how could I forget him? And also... So guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.